Britain is seeking to build on an already historic relationship with China. This presentation of British diplomatic policy recognises China's economic and political rise and makes a three-point approach.
One is to take head-on the issue of whether or not we should welcome China's rise. We're absolutely clear about that. We welcome the rise of China. We think it's a good thing. We think it's a good thing for China and potentially a good thing for the rest of the world. The trade aspect is obvious, but I want to highlight in this strand of thinking, when we're thinking about how Britain contributes to and benefits from China's rise, the education and cultural aspects. 80,000 Chinese students in British universities is a remarkable statistic and a remarkable way of building links between Britain and China, which will be a benefit to both countries.
The second of the 3 points concentrates on China's increasing role on the international stage, including the climate change debate.
I'm going from here to do a press conference to say that there's grave danger that we're off track for a Copenhagen agreement, and that we need to get back on track, that Copenhagen is in the balance, and China has a massive role to play in that. And I think that the way I see this second theme of shared challenges is to recognise that nations have responsibilities to their own citizens but also to the international system.
Discussion of human rights will be part of the third aspect of Britain seeking to strengthen the relationship. It will be an approach that recognises historic differences.
We have a human rights dialogue with China, which is important. China obviously has a very different political system to ours. Many people in Britain, whether they be of Chinese origin or not, have concerns that they want to see raised. We think it's better to raise them in an honest, open, clear way, and to get open, honest and clear answers. And I think that is the basis on which we've taken up those issues. As it happens, the Minister of State, Ivan Lewis, is in Tibet at the moment as part of the human rights dialogue. That's a good thing, and I think that reflects the maturity of the relationship. At every stage, I think we have to say that we want to try and understand the Chinese perspective, and we want them to understand our perspective.
How China was reported in the Western media was frequently mentioned.
My take really is on international development.
I think for the government and to government, the relation is, as you said, is fine. For people to people, are still quite limited, but it's also going very well. But I think the issue now in China and in the UK is people's perception towards each country, especially because most of people, they're getting the image of the country from the media. And because the Western media sometimes is, from a Chinese perspective, is quite biased.
China's emergence on the global stage is reflected in its interest beyond traditional spheres of influence.
The question of China and Africa is a really profound point. Because on the one hand, they're providing an option, alternative. On the other hand, we've got to make sure it's complementary to the sort of values that we're promoting and the sort of development that's being promoted. And I think that is possible. When I was in Beijing last, actually, we had a special seminar with the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs and with representatives of African countries about that relationship. And someone mentioned the EU. I think this is very important. I think it's vital that we get the EU-China relationship back on track.
Entitled A Framework for Engagement, the declaration of this policy by the UK government marks its readiness to engage further with a nation which is set to play a more significant role than ever internationally.